We are a RINO-free zone. The House of Representatives passed overwhelmingly a 2-week budget extension with $4 billion in cuts. Harry Reid has announced that the Senate will be passing it. That's great. I'm just a little skeptical. Why would Harry Reid agree to do that so quickly? Think we have their backs pinned to the wall? I hope so. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But on this subject of budgets, Barbara Boxer, this is the Hill newspaper, she said that House Republicans want to strip government funding of PBS because they have a vendetta against Elmo. Now, this is about the level of her intelligence. Now, I want to make this offer right now. You ready, Mr. Producer? If they cut Sesame Street from PBS, I will put together an investment group to purchase the program. And we will run it on commercial television. And we will make a lot of money. So, Elmo will still be on TV. What do you think of that, Mr. Producer? Yes. You can put in your $5. Mr. Call Screener can put in his 50 cents. But I'm serious. I'll buy it. I'll put together some folks that I know. We will buy Sesame Street. So you don't have to worry about Sesame Street anymore. You don't have to worry about Elmo anymore. I don't have a vendetta against Sesame Street. They're just better ways to do things. And Sesame Street will survive, as will any other program that has an actual audience and can be marketed. And we'll have all our stuffed Sesame Street characters in Toys R Us and the other stores raking in a killing, too. And it'll be in the public interest, but it'll be for profit. So that shouldn't be a problem. So don't worry about Elmo, you little dummy, Senator Boxer. We'll take care of him. Or is it a her? Or is it a eunuch? But don't worry, we'll take care of Elmo. Now, so much is made in the media, in Washington, D.C., over $4 billion in cuts for 2 weeks. I'm glad we're having the discussion, don't get me wrong. But those of us who can think for ourselves, who can reason, who look at the numbers, we know that it's not enough. I'm not saying we're going to be able to cut $1 trillion tomorrow. I'm just telling you it's not enough. And I'm sick and tired of the liberals pretending that we're going to lose things like Elmo, or people are going to go hungry, or seniors without, or this without, or that without. That's their game plan. If the whole system collapses, everybody goes hungry. Everybody goes without heat in the winter. Everybody goes without fuel for their cars. Everybody goes without clothing. So, that's what we're trying to prevent. Now, here in the Wall Street Journal, they talk about a nonpartisan GAO report that's supposed to be released today. I've been all over the Internet looking for the released report. Well, it was leaked the day before, but we do not have our hands on the actual released report yet. But in the leaked version, the Wall Street Journal reports the U.S. government has 15 different agencies overseeing food safety laws, more than 20 separate programs to help the homeless, and 80 programs for economic development. Yet, if you wanted to cut one or consolidate any of them, oh, you're against the poor. You're for hunger. You're against food safety. Oh! These are a few of the findings in a massive study of overlapping and duplicative programs that cost taxpayers billions of dollars each year, according to the GAO. Estimate $100 to $200 billion in duplicative spending. Shouldn't that be reason enough to slash immediately the budget by $100 to $200 billion and force these agencies to consolidate and become more efficient? How does that hurt the substance of any of these programs? Because people are invested in inefficiencies. They're invested in these monuments, these programs, these agencies. They don't want efficiencies. They don't want these things to work right. They want their jobs. They want their pension. They want their health care. They want. The agency found 82 federal programs to improve teacher quality. 82. I'm sure we'll have 83 by the end of this administration. 80 to help disadvantaged people with transportation. Why do we need 80 programs to help disadvantaged people with transportation? 47 different programs for job training and employment. 56 programs to help people understand finances. Instances of ineffective and unfocused federal programs can lead to a mishmash of occasionally arbitrary policies and rules, the report said. It recommends merging or consolidating a number of programs to both save money and make the government more efficient. Think that's going to happen today? The report says there are 18 federal programs that spend a combined $62.5 billion in 2008 on food and nutrition assistance. But little is known about their effectiveness. Of 11 of these programs, because they haven't been well studied, So wait a minute. We already have 18 federal programs that spend over $62 billion in the aggregate, 11 of which have not been sufficiently overseen. So why do we have this Mrs. Obama with her nutrition program and efforts when we have 18 programs spending over $62.5 billion? The GAO highlighted 80 different economic development programs at the Department of Commerce, HUD, Agriculture, and the SBA that spent a combined $6.5 billion last year and often overlapped. For example, the four agencies combined to have 52 different programs that fund, quote, entrepreneurial efforts. We don't need the government to fund entrepreneurial efforts. Anybody see the irony in that? 35 programs for infrastructure, 26 programs for telecommunications. It said 60% of the programs fund only one or two activities, making them the most likely to overlap because many of them can only fund the same limited types of activities. And I can go on. Overlap, fat, mismanagement, to the tune of 100 to 200 billion. Oh, well, who cares? Federal bureaucrats, many of whom are receiving twice as much in salary as similar positions, should they exist, in the private sector, with more beneficial health and pension plans. Let me tell you exactly how this works. None of these politicians sit back. Well, that's not fair. Tom Coburn asked for this report. Let me put it this way. None of these liberal politicians ever say, you know what, for 1 year, let's take a break. Just 1 year. Let's not create any new programs, new spending, new bureaucrats. Let's not hire anybody. Let us spend a year as members of Congress holding hearings on that which is, that which exists. Let us have all of our government auditors and investigators take a look at these things, and let us take a measure, some kind of measure of the federal government, its size, its purpose, its effectiveness, its spending, its regulations. So at least we know what the hell's going on. But a liberal politician will never do that for multiple reasons. The main one being he or she doesn't care. They're in this for the cause. And the cause is big government at all costs with no obstacles. Certainly not the Constitution. And if they don't care about the Constitution's limits that are placed on them and their role, why would they care about some GAO report that shows that there's a lot of waste and abuse and overlap and mismanagement? Now, one other thing that is missing from this Wall Street Journal piece, who's in charge of the federal bureaucracy with the waste and the mismanagement and the overlap and the bloat and $100 to $200 billion that's being pissed away? Isn't that our president? Isn't our president supposed to be overseeing the management of the federal bureaucracy? Well, how come he's never held to account for it? How come he's never responsible for it? Instead, it's as if it goes on its own. And while I'm on the subject of our great leader, Democrats on Capitol Hill are complaining that he's slow to enter the budget fight. He's slow in dealing with Libya. He's slow in dealing with oil, gas, and electricity prices, which are starting to skyrocket. He hasn't even met one-on-one with 6 of his cabinet members. May I ask, what the hell does this guy do all day? Oh, and we know he's never going to rest until we create more jobs. That we know. Now, you might say, Mark, he's done an awful lot of damage. He must be busy doing something. No. He delegates that. His aides, the bureaucracy, members of Congress, their aides, they put together these massive transforming bills, and he signs them. But the day-to-day activity of really paying attention and what's going on, Obama's not there. I would love to know what this guy does during the day. I know what he does on the weekends. He parties down and plays sports. I'd love to know what he does during the week. How can you be slow to enter the budget fight? That's what the Democrats are accusing him of, when there's so much at stake for the nation. How can you see what's going on in the Middle East and be slow to respond to the Libya situation, leaving it to the Brits and the French to take the lead? How can you be slow to deal with oil and gas and electricity prices when the costs are mounting and mounting and mounting, and they have the potential to give the real death blow to this economy? And how can you be president for over 2 years and not meet with 6 of your cabinet secretaries? What the hell exactly is going on in this White House, I wonder? What the hell is going on? And yet the man has time to interfere in Wisconsin, time to interfere in Arizona, time for what he wants to do. $100 to $200 billion in overlap, mismanagement, inefficiencies. And by the way, that doesn't even include our entitlement program. Tens of billions of dollars in waste and fraud in Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security. But, ladies and gentlemen, Obama promised us with Obamacare it would actually be more efficient. They'd actually be able to address the debt. And yet, here he is, President of the United States, the one person in charge of cleaning up the way the federal government is managed. And he hasn't done a damn thing. I'm guessing he'll set up a commission one day, much like the Deficit Commission, to oversee these things. They'll issue a report, and he'll ignore it. Reagan, one of his first acts was to set up the Grace Commission, which came up with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of proposals. Big, thick book of proposals, the vast majority of which were implemented in his first term. Obama's not interested in managing a damn thing. He's a creator. So he's creating new things to manage. After all, presidents don't go down in history for being good managers, for ensuring efficiencies in government. They go down in history for creating great things, big things, caring for people, for showing compassion. At least that's what they say. We'll be right back. Chris in San Diego, the great KFMB country. Go.
Hi, Mr. Levin. Thank you for taking my call.
Well, it's absolutely your pleasure. Go right ahead.
I'm a high school student, and I'm
Yes.
17, and I just figured out how much it would cost, how many more times they would have to cut $4 billion to pay off our deficit to the Chinese, and it'd be 3,200 or 250 more times than they just cut with the $4 billion.
Well, here's the thing, Chris. Here's the thing. I understand that we only have one body with enough conservatives. That's the House of Representatives. The leftists, they run the Senate. Obviously, they run the executive branch, the presidency. But still, $4 billion, I've heard it said this is a trap being set for the Democrats, that they'll keep doing this and they'll keep getting the cuts from the Democrats, and this will be a good thing. And I'm thinking to myself, you play these games for too long, the people are going to get bored or they're going to get sick of it. Why not inform the public exactly what you're doing, draw the line in the sand, and duke it out right here and now while the public's with us? You with me, Chris?
Yeah.
All right, my brother. 17, you sound very bright. You got a good future ahead of you. Maybe you can run for governor of California one day. We'll be right back. By the way, Huckaphony, Mike Huckaphony, was on a local radio show in New York. Not a very highly rated one. And he got confused. He talked about Obama being raised in Kenya. Well, actually, for a period of time, he grew up in Indonesia. He's had to put out a clarifying statement, which is kind of interesting to me. I mean, Sarah Palin knows this, and yet she's under attack all the time, supposedly for inaccurate statements when her statements are not inaccurate. And here we have Huckaphony, who's made an inaccurate statement. Maybe if he were wearing a dress, they'd be a little tougher on him. Actually, if he were wearing a dress, they should be a little tougher on him.